congressional hearings have been going on about corruption and justice, and most importantly, just the other day, we had a stunning congressional hearing on government censorship. And the Democrats, to their everlasting shame, with no self-awareness whatsoever, basically made the case for why we needed the hearing because they tried to use the government to censor a fellow Democrat, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And he was an extraordinary witness. And without his script, he just went right off the cuff and pushed back. But watch this moment from that congressional hearing.
I'd like to raise a point of order.
Gentlelady, state a point of order.
Point of order pursuant to House Rule 11, Clause 2, which Mr. Kennedy is violative of. I move that we move into executive session because Mr. Kennedy has repeatedly made despicable anti-Semitic and anti-Asian comments as recently as last week.
Well, you know, Robert F. Kennedy may not be your cup of tea. He may have some views that you don't agree with. He has some I don't agree with. But I really respect him. He's a well thought out individual. He's not a kook. And, you know, his whole thing was that there are questions about some of the science around COVID. Right. And he was willing to raise them. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who you saw there, tried to get the committee to go into executive session, which means nobody could hear what he was saying. What is she so afraid of? Mm-hmm. I mean, the Kennedy name is like the Democrat gold standard, right? Unless you disagree with the deep state. And he is disagreeing with the deep state and paying the price for it. There was a whistleblower committee hearing on the Oversight Committee this week. There were two whistleblowers, Gary Shapley and Mr. Joseph Ziegler. The interesting thing is that Ziegler is a Democrat. He's gay. He's married to a man. He fits what ought to be the profile of the people the Democrats would champion. But he had the audacity to become a whistleblower and say that there was an enormous level of irregularities in the Hunter Biden investigation regarding his tax evasion. And, well, it kind of blew up. Let's watch.
I will also note that while the impression has been conveyed by the U.S. Attorney in Delaware that he has similar powers to that of a special counsel in this case, free rein to do as needed, that was not the case. It appeared to me, based on what I experienced, that the U.S. Attorney in Delaware in our investigation was constantly hamstrung, limited, and marginalized by DOJ officials as well as other U.S. attorneys. I still think that a special counsel is necessary for this investigation.
Now, let me just make sure you understand. These are two whistleblowers, both IRS agents, seasoned agents who've been there for a long time, and they were appalled that there was special handling of this case and the decision whether to prosecute was not made by the prosecutor as it normally would be, David Weiss in Delaware. That he made very clear, David Weiss did, was well above him, most likely all the way to the Attorney General Merrick Garland, which does lend to this idea that there's a double standard of justice and the Bidens were being protected by the highest levels at the Department of Justice. These guys, whose job it is to go after tax cheats and who have done that effectively for dozens of years, say, wait a minute, we can't stand by and watch this because it's politically motivated. And, you know, people can say, well, these guys had an axe to grind. Ziegler didn't. He was with them politically. He voted for them. He didn't vote for Trump. He's not a conservative, and he made that very clear. It's interesting also, Jamie Raskin, who is the ranking member of the Oversight Committee, kind of got his wings clipped when he made a statement and was pushed back by the witness, Gary Shapley.
It seems to me this October 7th, 2022 meeting, which you've described as a red line, is just a misunderstanding. That after the U.S. Attorney in D.C. declined to partner on the 14 and 15 charges, Mr. Weiss took a good hard look at those charges himself and ultimately decided not to charge them and therefore not to seek the special attorney status. He may have been right about that. He may have been wrong, as you guys make your case for, but it was his decision. Isn't that right, Mr. Shapley?
No, that's not supported by the facts.
Really? Well, which facts is it not supported by?
His own admissions in the October 7th, 2022 meeting that I documented contemporaneously.
Ouch. Jamie Raskin just got fact-checked on the spot and basically got it right up his nose. That was great because he said, those are the facts? And Shapley says, no, sir, those are not the facts. And then he goes ahead and just reminds him of his testimony, which was sworn, and what he had already testified to, and just really pushed back. It was brilliant. And I will tell you, it's not the only time this happened. I want to give you another one. Democrat Congressman Dan Goldman inadvertently confirmed that Joe Biden was well aware of his son's business dealings, because for a long time, every time Joe would be asked about it, he would say, I didn't know anything about my son's business dealings, never talked to him about it. Dan Goldman, I don't think he meant to do this. And Jonathan Turley, the law professor from Georgetown, said, boy, did he ever say the wrong thing for the case that Joe Biden's been trying to make. Let's just watch, you decide.
And you testified that he said that Hunter told his dad, according to Rob Walker, quote, I may be trying to start a company or try to do something with these guys. Now, let me ask you something. That doesn't sound much like Joe Biden was involved in whatever Hunter Biden was doing with the CEFC if Hunter Biden is telling him that he's trying to do business with them, does it?
No, but it does show that he told his father he was trying to do business, and he was talking.
Well, that is
to
true. Hunter Biden does
business.
try to do business. That's correct.
I mean, I don't think he intended to go there, but that's what you call that moment of truth that comes out inadvertently, and that's what happened.
Daryl Pettydog says, I want to know when the FBI and the DOJ and the Bidens are going to be held accountable.
Hard to say. I mean, I think the beginnings are happening. I want to commend the Republicans in Congress. I know people are saying, well, they're just having hearings. That's all they really can do. They don't have the power to charge people with a crime. That has to come from the Department of Justice. And the only way that happens is that the evidence becomes so compelling that even the press can't ignore it and the DOJ can't ignore it. Now, they've ignored it all up until now, but there may be a breaking point. And the only other hope we have is the next election, getting the president being somebody not named Biden, and getting the Senate. Then you can have something really happen, because you have someone go to the Department of Justice, fire all those people who are politically protecting this administration. Could happen, but we're a few steps from that. Hey, Mike Huckabee here. Listen, if you love your mom, apple pie, and being conservative, you know you ought to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and click the like button, and show all the leftists out there that conservatives are thriving and patriotism is far from dead. Am I pandering too much? No way. I'm just getting started.